Hey, Mark, it's going well. Another crazy Friday night across the state of Georgia. I tell you, there's all kind of craziness, some surprises going on tonight, and glad we got everybody checking in with us tonight. There should be another fun show.
Yeah, it is, and you never know what's going to happen. I'm sure there are going to be a few surprises tonight. We'll start seeing these finals come in.
We can. I know we got one final already. In fact, this game's been over for a few minutes, and I guess it's because they must have started around 6 o'clock tonight, Mark, up in Grayson. I don't know if that was because of a weather issue. I'll find out from Coach DeBerry, but uh, Thompson of Alabama was leading for most of this game against Grayson. In fact, they had a chance to win it with about 2 minutes left, but they jumped off sides. Grayson took advantage. The game goes to overtime. And in overtime, Grayson defeats Thompson, Alabama, 24-23.
How
So
about that?
Thompson, Mark, showing they could still get it done without Travis Burgess. How about that?
I believe that game went to overtime last year, if I'm not mistaken, didn't it?
It sure did. 15-14 was the final. So a couple of, and that game was over in Thompson, Alabama last year. So how about that? So I want to welcome in, Mark, some of the folks that are checking in with us. Chandler Howe. Chandler, I hope I'm pronouncing that last name right. Is Huff or Howe? Chandler says game did start at 6 with great weather. So there we go. Azaleas Ferguson is checking in. The number one team in Class A, Lincoln County Red Devils. Azaleas, are you guys playing tonight? Lincoln County. Give us an update on what you guys have got going on there. Guys, real quick, before I turn it back over to Mark. So let us know. Here's kind of the deal with the show. We want to know where you guys are watching the show from, who your favorite team is, and of course, if you have any updates, any scores, any top player performances, guys, let us hear from you. We want to know. That's what the show's all about. Like Michael Baxter, who's checking in, says, "Good evening, Mark and Phil, and everyone at ITG Next Georgia." Michael, what's up, buddy?
So yeah, Phil, I wonder why that game started at 6. I mean, I wonder if it was a nationally televised game. I bet it was.
Good point, Mark. It might have been something. Obviously, affected that. So Charlie Chandler, why did that game start at 6? I know you mentioned you did confirm for us. Said it was great weather up there. Chandler, can you confirm for us why that game started at 6 o'clock up there between Thompson and Grayson? Inquiring minds want to know. Our buddy Rosser Sutherland, Marietta fan, is up at Marietta. Mark McEachern and Marietta are going at it tonight, and with a little over 7 minutes left, Marietta is leading undefeated McEachern, who's really gotten off to a great start. But tonight it's Marietta 13-9, winning it. 7 minutes left. Mark, if Marietta can hang on, that is going to be a huge win for Cam Duke, the new coach.
Yes, it'll be a big win for him his first year there. As I mentioned last week, had an opportunity to go up and visit with him. High expectations for that program. Again, he's coming from Florida. Uh, Atmosphere is a little bit different in Georgia than it is Florida now. Good quality of play in Florida, but I got to tell you, we are spoiled in Georgia in general, and especially South Georgia with the atmosphere and the facilities that we have. Last week I went to the uh, down to Fort Lauderdale to the Broward County Classic, caught the St. Thomas Aquinas modern day game and St. Francis Chaminade Madonna game. I was talking to a guy on the sideline. He said, Mark, he said, this is the nicest stadium that we have in South Florida. And it's at St. Thomas Aquinas, and it's a nice stadium. But if I was equating it to something, I'd equate it to, smaller, like a Brooks County or Cook County. And that late game started, and there really was not many people there. Chaminade Madonna was from there. St. Francis, of course, coming from Maryland. You wouldn't expect a lot of people to make that trip, but man, the atmosphere all over South Georgia is unbelievable. We are so spoiled when it comes to that.
We really are. Guys, going to give you some updates on some scores. One of the games Mark and I have both been watching. This thing is crazy. Back and forth tonight. No one, I think, saw this coming. Tift County, Lee County. We know that Tift County has gotten off to a good start, 2-0, but everybody kind of figured that Tift County would kind of come back down to earth tonight. This game has bounced back and forth. Right now, you've got Lee County has just scored to increase their lead to 35-26. There's about 7 minutes left to go in that game in Leesburg. Another interesting note. Apparently, Tift County brought a full crowd. The visitor side is packed at Lee County. There's more Tift County fans there than Lee County, which is kind of an interesting note. I don't think I've ever seen that. So Tift County fans are very excited about what Jeff Littleton is doing with the Tift County football program. But right now, with about 7 minutes left to go, Lee County has just busted a long run. That was a 2-point game, Mark. And now Lee County has stretched the lead back out now to 9 points. So Lee County up by 9, 35-26, 7 minutes left to go in the game.
Yeah, I've got it pulled up on NFHS. Tift County is about, they got the ball back. They're down by, of course, 2 scores. So, they've got a tough road ahead of them, but they are playing tough. I think, Phil, you and I both said they'll be improved, certainly, under Jeff Littleton, and they are that.
Yeah, without a doubt. Another stunner tonight. And again, Mark and I were talking about this game just before we went on. Guys, Cook is all over Brooks County. Mark, I know you were keeping up with that game as well. It was 19-0 Cook for a while. I think Brooks finally got on the scoreboard, but it looks like Cook is in full control. Mark, do you have an update on that one as far as the score goes?
It looks like it went final, is what Alan Clanton said. Cook 19, Brooks 6.
Okay.
And that is a bit of a shock, but I think they had some quarterback problems at Brooks. You and I were talking before we went live, and last year Brooks, they lost a couple of games early, but I look for them to rebound. They got too many athletes on that team.
Exactly. So as Mark just said, guys, Brooks County got off to a slow start last year. I think they were 1-3, maybe even like 1-4. Through their first 5 games. Maybe somebody can double check me or fact check me on that. Bottom line is they got off to a slow start last year, but they get into the heart of the region schedule. They really start to pick up some momentum under Coach McFather. And of course, as we all know, Brooks County made it all the way to the state final game where they lost to Bowden. But like Mark said, look for Bowden or look for Brooks County to rebound despite their loss tonight. Now for Cook, their best start, 3-0 since 2012 when Ken Kofer was the head coach. So I tell you this, Cook is off to a great start. And, boy, look out for that Cook defense, Mark. They're really playing well. And, of course, you got a head coach in Byron Slatt who is a defensive coordinator by trade.
Yeah, I'm sure Cook is looking to have a big year. I'm not really as familiar with Cook. I'm not sure what talent they have on either side of the ball, but clearly, Cook Slack's doing a great job. I mean, look, when you beat Brooks County, and those two teams are very similarly matched. They were in the same region for many years. Of course, you mentioned Coach Kofa. So back when he was coaching, they were in the same region. You're talking about some battles. I mean, I'm going back to the Shannon Brown days. And over at Brooks County, Malcolm Harris, boy, 2 outstanding players.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, so Lee Nicholson is checking in with us, gives us an update. Mary Person, Bulldogs over Butler tonight, 42-0. I mentioned Roster Sutherland giving us update on that Marietta McEachern game. Last we heard, Marietta was leading 13-9, about 7 minutes left to go in the game. Our buddy Juan Simo Villalobos. Always love it when he checks into the show. Giving us an update, Mark, on Gainesville, the Red Elephants over Westlake, 42-14. That game has gone finals. And, boy, you got to wonder, what's happened to Westlake? They were one of the state's really most athletic and competitive teams, one of the top teams in the state 3-4 years ago. But, man, they have really fallen off there, the Lions of Westlake High. I don't know, Wansima, if you got any information on that. I know you're a Gainesville fan, but just crazy how that is taking place.
Yeah, I don't think Cam Newton's going to be walking on the field. So, uh, going way back in time, what a player he was in high school.
Well, isn't that the
What a player.
truth?
Yeah. I just noticed Oscar Miles, Carver, Columbus over Harris County, 63-0. I kind
Real
of,
nail biter there, man.
oh, well,
What's up, Oscar?
well, you know what happened? I mean, last year, Harris beat Carver. I knew those guys wanted to, have some get back, if you will. And Carver Columbus is loaded. It's not a surprise, maybe 63-0. Uh, I don't know. Maybe he kept the first guys in there the whole time.
One of my favorite people in the world, Miss Camden County, Jamie Fraley Seeger, is checking in. And she tells us that Camden County is up on West Broward 20-13. Well, that's a little too close for comfort over there at Camden, Jamie. 20-13, fourth quarter score. Jamie, thanks for that update. Keep us updated on that. As Camden County trying to hang on and keep their unbeaten record intact.
Well, that's that Florida connection, I believe. The coach at Camden coming from Florida now has West Broward coming up to play him. Of course, you get into Camden, that's another big home field. Again, having been in Fort Lauderdale last weekend and knowing where Broward County plays, I'm sure they were a little bit shell shocked when they came into Camden Stadium.
Abby Pearson is checking in. What's up, Abby? Abby gives us an update. 35-6 clinch over Miller. That has gone final. Abby says, roll, Red, roll. Abby rooting on her Clinch County Panthers.
Hey, Jim Dickerson. Hey, look for Clinch County to be in it in the end.
My buddy, Dr. Mike McCartney, checking in, gives us an update. His Cook Kyle Hornets, that has gone final with Cook defeating Brooks County tonight. Again, Cook goes to 3-0, the best start, as I mentioned earlier, Mark, since 2012 when Ken Kofer was head coach.
Yeah, I tell you, Dr. Mike, loyal fan. He does an outstanding job calling those games. And, just through the South Georgia, have so many dedicated fans that do so much for the teams in South Georgia.
All right, our good friend and defending tailgate winner this week, Mark, and we're going to talk about this Sunset Farm Sausage tailgate competition that we've got going on. My buddy Luke Nelson, his son Kanan Nelson, big-time linebacker for Brooks, give us an update tonight on North Gwinnett. Says North Gwinnett's looking strong with the backup quarterback Banks Halcomb. 14-7, North Gwinnett leads Colquitt County right now. Luke, of course, big Buford fan. Luke, I think Buford's off tonight, aren't they? Anyway, thanks to Luke Nelson. And congratulations on that great tailgate win for you guys last week. Mark, tell our folks about the Sunset Farm Sausage tailgate challenge that we got going on.
Yeah, great partnership with Sunset Farm Foods. Listen, if you guys are if you had a tailgate tonight, make sure to send us a picture, some video. We want to highlight your tailgate on our platforms and get you some fresh Sunset Farms food sausage to cook at your next tailgate.
Luke gave me his address today. So, Luke, your Sunset Farms care package is on the way, brother. Coffee, our buddy Stephen Tate and the Coffee Tailgate Brigade won it the first week. I was out with the Lounge Tailgate folks earlier tonight. Well, I tell you, second week in a row, though, just drenching rain out there at Lounge. But there were some hardy tailgaters under the tents trying to get some food cooked up tonight. But big time rain out there at Lounge for, I think, the third consecutive week. But anyway, thanks for that update, Luke. Michael Ward is asking for a Valdosta score if anybody's got an update on Valdosta. I know they were beating Darty by a bunch, Mark.
Yeah, I don't think that one will be close, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Well, depending on if you're a Darty fan or a Valdosta fan, I think Valdosta will be all over Darty.
All right, I mentioned at the onset, put out a post earlier, Mark, that we were going to be giving you guys updates across the state on what has been a crazy, crazy night. Here's another crazy one. Alan Clanton, our buddy, updating us. Mark, I know you'd mentioned Alan earlier. Columbia, that's Lake City, Columbia County, is up on Coffee 20-6. I don't know if that is going final yet. Looks like it could be a little bit of a struggle this year for Mike Coe and his young Coffee High Trojans team, Mark, losing 20-6. And again, I'm not sure if that game is going final or not.
Well, Columbia County, I mean, they're a solid program. And I think they're probably higher classification if you're comparing like Florida to Georgia. I guess Coffee's in five. I think Columbia's in the highest classification. So, but they're a
Yeah.
very good program there. Of course, Coach Coe won a state championship for Coffee. Something that it's never happened there, I don't believe. May have brought them the first one. But struggle tonight, but hey, everything's still in front of them. Region's wide open.
Yeah, Sandy Creek beats LaGrange tonight, 23-7, thanks to Walt Taylor. For that update, Braden Mays gives us that update on Cook beating Brooks 19-6. Guys, again, I do want to remind everybody, if you are doing any tailgating tonight, man, send us some pictures and send it in to us. You can send it in to me or Mark or any of us at ITG Next, and man, we will award you guys, if you got what it takes, if you send us some good stuff, good pictures of you guys tailgating, we will award you the Sunset Farm Sausage Tailgate of the Week. So send us those pictures in, guys. We want to get them from you.
So, Phil, I've got the Georgia Tech Colorado game on. Checking it out. Curious to see if Juju gets any snaps tonight. I watched the first half before we got started, and he had not gotten any snaps. But I do believe Dion said during the week that they were going to try to get him some snaps in this game.
Yeah, I saw that. What's that score, Mark?
It was 13-10, and I'll have to look over there. It's a commercial right now. Georgia Tech, though, was thoroughly outplaying them. They fumbled twice and had an interception all in the first quarter. They should be ahead comfortably, but they turned the ball over.
A little bit of a surprise on this one. Alan Clanton gives us an update. Jeff Davis has beaten the Charleston Indians tonight. Wow, didn't see that one coming. Congratulations to Jeff Davis defeating Charleston 35-26 tonight, Mark.
Yeah, how about that? Now it looks like Lee County's pulling away some 41-26. I will tell you this. Lee County's quarterback is very athletic. They have a solid running game. I think they just keep, they'll keep pounding. They know they're going to break them. Shocking that but Tiff County's been able to move the ball.
Yeah, look, Lee County obviously favored in this game. I said this earlier. I think if look, and I know Jeff Littleton's not about any moral victories, but Tiff County 2-8 back-to-back seasons. Jeff Littleton already got them out to a 2-0 start. If indeed they're not able to come back tonight, and it doesn't look like they will, they'll fall suffer their first loss of the season. But Mark, this is a game again that, if you're a Tiff County fan, if you're Jeff Littleton, you can mark this up again to another check in the progress department. This is what you want to do, is get Tiff County at least playing competitive, even if they don't win. And I think we can safely say this was a pretty competitive Tiff County effort tonight.
Yeah, no doubt it's competitive. And look, I think they could sneak up on somebody. I mean, there's a lot of games left in this season. I do believe Look, they look like a completely different ball club from the prior years, prior to him.
100%. 100%. So Fitzgerald has defeated Crisp County tonight. Brad King says, there you have it. Game is over. Woo-hoo, Canes win it. Brad King giving us the update. Fitzgerald defeats Crisp 30-7 tonight. Ware County 58-20 over the Bainbridge Bearcats tonight. Thanks to Dustin Williford for giving us that update.
So, Phil, what do you think about Bainbridge with Jay Walls over there?
Well, so Jeff Littleton leaves Bainbridge before last year after coaching there for 11 seasons. And I've got this thing, when you see a coach leave, you got to wonder how that program is faring. And last year, Jay Walls took over a very depleted Bainbridge team, and I think they won one game, if I'm not mistaken. I think they won their last game of the year. He's really got his work cut out for him, Mark. I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's kind of similar to what Jeff Littleton faced last year at Tiff. This is also Jay Wall's second season at Bainbridge, so let's hope that he can get that thing turned around. But right now, it looks like it's a bit of an uphill climb for Jay Walls. Now, I will say this: he's a heck of a coach. Jay Walls proved it at Tift. He proved it, when I think he won a state championship down at Swanee in Live Oak. Speaking of Florida, Jay Walls then, after he leaves Tift County, goes down to Navarre, Florida, in the Panhandle. Won a bunch of games down there with them, the Raiders of Navarre High in Navarre, Florida. So Jay Walls, look, the guy has proven that he can coach. But he's taken over a program at Bainbridge that needs some work.
Yeah, I think year 3 is a big year for, first year or excuse me, new coaches in the program. You need a couple of years to get things going. And in year 3, then, you ought to be able to put your stamp on the program and see some improvement.
Agree. Guys, keep those scores, updates. Abby, I know you told us about Gene Watson last week at Berrien. He was one of our top performers. Young man came out and had a whale of a game. This comes a year after he had suffered a devastating lower leg injury last year. I'd love to hear those good news updates like that. But if you've got any kind of top player performances tonight, guys, let me hear from you guys. Let me hear what was happening out there. We'd love to hear from you. Love to get some updates. Alan Clanton gives us an update. Coffee has just scored in their game. 7 minutes left. Seems like all these games got about 7 minutes left. And so that should cut the Coffee deficit to about a touchdown against Columbia, Mark. If I've got it right, it was 20-6. Lee County 41-23 on Tift. Yep.
Hey, don't count those Trojans out.
No way. So Carrollton is playing Rome tonight. Luke Nelson just told me that indeed Buford is off his team. What's the update on that Carrollton Rome? Mark, have you got anything on that one?
I do not. I can check right quick. I will tell you, North Gwinnett is driving on Cockwood. 9 minutes left in the game. They're up by 7. Cockwood needs a big stop here. Let me see if I can.
While Mark looks for that update, I can tell you this Colquitt North Gwinnett game was one of my pick 6 games. I did pick Colquitt to win this one. And right now they're trailing, according to Mark, and North Gwinnett is on the drive, on the run again.
Yeah, that might be a tough one there, Phil. All right, so I just tuned into this Rome Carrollton game. It's over, but I'm not seeing a score.
Roswell has hung on to defeat Walton tonight. That's another big win for Jonathan J.T. Thompson, the new head coach at Roswell, former Lee County offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'm sure
picking up another win.
There.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, Lee County's quarterback is Trey Bush. Not their regular quarterback, but he's an electric player. He's a normal defensive back. He quarterbacked the 8th grade team, then switched over to strictly defense. So he can play quarterback, and he's proven it tonight against Tift County. 41-26, that score against Tift. It's getting late. Looks like Lee County's going to take care of business in that one.
Yeah, somebody just mentioned that Lee County recovered an onside kick. It's 33-41, 2 minutes 51 seconds, and it looks like Tift County may have recovered an onside kick. So wait a minute,
Really?
not over
Well,
yet.
hang on a second.
Yeah,
Well, wait just a minute.
yeah.
I tell you, I mentioned this earlier, Mark. Look, Tiff County wants to win this game, but the fact that they're hanging in there and playing competitive football against one of the top 5A teams in the state, I mean, that just is a moral victory. I don't care what people say about moral victories. It does mean a lot when you're a struggling team trying to get a little bit of pride back in your program.
Well, look, stranger things have happened. I want to see, in fact, yeah, Tift County does have the ball at midfield.
And, and what's
Two
the
minutes
score?
51 seconds, 33-41. Touchdown, 2-point conversion to tie the game.
How about that?
How about that?
Boy, you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Well,
All right, so go ahead.
the thing that we have to keep in mind, these are kids, 15, 16, 17-year-olds.
Yep.
You never know what can happen.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But there's no question that Jeff Littleton has got Tiff County playing much better football. I mean, no doubt, no question. They beat a Gaston County team last week, 22-0, that they lost to last year by 40-something points. Jane Harbin Cuppet is back with us this week and gives us an update. Houston County has defeated Perry 12-7, Mark.
Perry was winning that game 7-0 at one point. Two great programs, two great coaches. Houston County will like to line it up. So, holding them to under 40, hey, that's a good thing.
Look who has joined us in the house. It's Dr. Mike McCartney joining us. Adel Dental Associates. What's up, Dr. Mike? The voice of the Hornets. Mark, Dr. Mike's got to be happy about his Cookeye Hornets. What's up, Mike?
Well, 100% there. Of course, he played there. So, he wants to see those Hornets take care of business.
No, Mike's a Jersey guy. He played football up in Jersey. Yeah.
Is he a Jersey guy? I thought that shows
Mike's a New Jersey guy.
South Georgia.
Well, he was in the Air Force, which was what brought him to South Georgia. Yeah. And Mike, you can tell us, brother, how long have you been in South Georgia? But listen, Mike is the ultimate Cookeye Hornet, though. He has made his home, even though he's originally from Jersey, made his home in Adel, Cook. He is a huge part of that community. He does so much for Boys and Girls Club there. Of course, he has Adel Dental Associates, which is a very successful practice, not just for Adel and Cook, but for all of South Georgia. And so he's a great guy, man of faith, great family, and he's a great friend. I'm proud to call him one of my best friends. So.
He can say he's from South Georgia now. He can forget New Jersey.
That's right. Yeah, he's claimed South Georgia for sure. No doubt about that.
Yeah, I do want to say, just interesting things I get to observe. When we were in Fort Lauderdale last week, when Modern Day ran on the field, one of the St. Thomas Aquinas fans, I was standing by some of the people, and they're like, is this their college team? Wow. Modern Day, very impressive team. I don't see them getting beat. I think they got a little overconfident in tip my hat to St. Thomas Aquinas because it's 23-3 at halftime. And I think most people felt like, oh, this is about to be a blowout. And of course, Coach Harriet, he got those kids motivated, came out. Modern Day only won the game 26-23. But
yeah,
they look very impressive. And I'll have to say, too, in just looking at some of these teams that, they get players from other areas and really run it like a college program. St. Francis Academy out of Maryland, boy, those kids, they put a whipping on Chaminade Madonna and you could tell from the first play what was going to happen. They had athletes all over the field. Again, they look they look like a college team, a small college, as far as the physicality and the way their players looked. You know,
Unbelievable.
I do think again, if you're going to play those types of teams, like if they come to Georgia, you're going to have to play the higher classification teams, and I do think some teams in Georgia could match up against them. I really do.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I think some of the teams could match up against them. Not many, but again, Grayson, Buford, Milton. I think some of the South Georgia teams, uh, potentially could match up in terms of depth. I think the athletes, though, is that were on the field on both modern day and St. Francis Academy was something to watch.
All right, so we got some updates coming in. My buddy Dr. Mike McCartney says Cook has only given up 6 points a game, 3-0 for the first time since 2012, as we mentioned earlier. 10 dudes will return on Cook's defense next year. Brooks Moore, here's another thing that's kind of getting lost in everything. Brooks Moore may be the best punter in the state of Georgia, one of the best in the country, averaging 47.6 yards a punt tonight for
Wow.
Cook. Not his longest,
How about
but
that?
averaging.
People don't realize
Unbelievable.
people don't realize how important a punter is until you need one.
You're right.
Let's face
I
it.
tell you, Mark, great defense and a great punter, that can take Cook a long way.
Yeah, you can flip the field. I mean, again, you just don't realize how important a punter is until you need one.
Our buddy Luke Nelson gives us an update on that North Gwinnett game. He says North Gwinnett has scored again on Colquitt. It's 21-7 now. The home team, North Gwinnett, leading Colquitt 21-7. That could be make for an even longer bus ride back home tonight for Colquitt County, Mark.
Yeah, it could be. That'll be a tough one. And on a different note, Tiff County has got the ball on the 15-yard line, second down. So they are still in this thing.
I'm just laughing. This thing is just crazy what's happening in Leesburg tonight. Lee County, heavily favored over Tiff County. So here's a little something
third
for
and
you.
9 ball on the 17. So, they got a couple of plays. I mean, the clock's kind of working against them a little bit. So it'll be interesting. I'd love to see them get in the end zone and see if they can make that 2-point conversion.
So my buddy Dr. Mike's going to like this, but I think everybody's going to like this. So Todd Holcomb, the AJC, asked me, Phil, what's the game this week in South Georgia to watch? And I said, well, you got a couple of games. Cook, Brooks will be one to watch. But I would really keep an eye on Tiff County, Lee County. So Todd decided to go with Cook, Brooks as the game to watch. And of course, Cook has won it tonight pretty decisively. But again, I just had that sense, man, that Tiff County was going to make a game of this tonight. And Mark, like you're giving us an update on, regardless of what happens tonight, Tiff County is really coming to play.
Well, they have. We're about to find out. It's 4th and 9 now. So this is it.
Moment of truth.
Hey, the moment
of truth.
We'll find out if they can make something happen. So as he's throwing it, throws it in the end zone. Looks like no go.
Incomplete.
But they made it. They made it fun.
No flags. Any flags?
Any flags. That's it. Lee County ball. Coach Fabrizio can bring it a little easier. He'll get a little upset sometimes. So I'm sure he's finding something to get his emotions riled up.
Got upset tonight at halftime. There was a bang call right before the half. In fact, what I'm understanding, it was that one of the Lee County assistant coaches got ejected.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently. So coach is getting fired up. Alan Clanton, how about the job, Mark, that Jackson Dean, former offensive coordinator at Cook, is doing at Berrien? Berrien won one game last year, I think. So far, they are, I believe, 2-1 on the year. They defeat Telfair tonight, 39-36. Our buddy Alan Clanton give us an update on that. When Jackson Dean went into Berrien County, He had everybody wearing these shirts, raise the bar, and had everybody believing in little Nashville, Georgia. And you know what? People were laughing or whatever. They're going to have another long season. Well, you know what? So far, he's got those players believing. I just love stories like that, Mark.
Yeah, Berrien County is due. We'd love to see them have a good season.
Me too. Me too. They've really struggled there in that community with trying to field a competitive football team. Jamie Fraley Seeger gives us an update. If this is final now over in Kingsland, Camden County has defeated West Broward 32-13 to remain undefeated.
Any score on the Warner Robins North Side game, historically, boy, what a game. That's similar to Wintersville. That town really comes out. Those teams don't particularly like each other. I have not seen anything on that game.
Mark, the last I heard was in the third quarter, Warner Robins led 15-7. Now, that should be final because that was a while back. In fact, as we look at the clock, it's 10:35 Eastern time. Most of the games in Georgia should be approaching finals. So, guys, let us know where you're watching the show from tonight. Let us know what games you're following. If you have any final scores, let us know about any kind of top player performances tonight. And again, thanks so much for checking in tonight here on ITG Next Georgia. Jacob Carlton says, "What's up, men?" Jacob, what's going on, brother?
Looks like Warner Robins, Jane Harmon, Warner Robins 22, North Side 13.
Final?
Looks like that was a final.
So Warner Robins, boy, it's a big win for Shane Sams. Daniel Boone Williams, the new coach at Northside Warner Robins, still struggling, still trying to get his team. There's another situation where a coach is coming in trying to get Northside Warner Robins back up to speed. Tony Wynn gives us an update. Thomas County Central just all over Florida High, 79-14 tonight.
No surprise there. We've talked about the talent they have over Thomas County Central, and that's a train that just keeps building up steam. They're going to be a hard out for anybody. In fact, I'm trying to think when they're going to be tested. Now, when they get into region, there's going to be some tests, but their non-region schedule right now, they're just running through people.
Yeah. Look, if you've seen Thomas County Central up close, they're just a machine. Those players are so well conditioned. They've got a great nutrition program, a great weight program. Guys, I've been doing this a long time. Mark, you've been doing this a long time, following high school football, that is. I haven't seen a team that looks, and I'm talking about getting off the bus, looks as impressive as Thomas County Central. Man, those are some well-molded athletes.
Well, they'll say you got to strike while the iron's hot. I mean, they've got a good group of kids. They're well coached. They've got one state championship. They'd certainly love to get another one. I mean, they've got a good senior bunch there. But I think the future's bright for Thomas County Central. With everything they have going on, they'll be moving into their new facility, I believe, at the end of September. Get a chance to get over and check it out once they get in. But I saw it about a month and a half ago. Very impressive. And maybe the nicest football facility in the state. And I mean, that's saying a lot as far as indoor workout room, coaches' offices. Just, I mean, first class.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Alan Clanton updates us. Carrollton, Rome. Carrollton has defeated Rome 28-21. John Reed having a tough time of it this year. I think 0-2 start for the Rome Wolves. Rome going to be playing, I believe, Toombs County next week. That'll be one of my Pick Six games. So Michael does Mike McCartney. I went to Bergen Catholic High School and Rutherford High School in New Jersey.
How about that? I knew a guy from Rivals, a writer, and he was going up to Jersey to some kind of beach. It's kind of like the Broward County Classic, but in New Jersey they call it the the beach bash or something where some of the higher profile teams in Jersey play each other.
Yeah, Mike, I bet Mike knows about that. Mike says he's been here since 1993. So he's been
Okay.
yeah, he's official a South Georgia boy now, no doubt.
He is. Cockwood had the ball first and goal, like at the 6th, and anyway, just ran it on 3rd down. Over there's a flag. They are trying to get back in this thing, or at least have a run at it. I don't know who the flag is on. That will be critical. Um, but it looks like it's going to be 4th down if the flag's on Cockwood.
So that game could be coming down to a make or break down, as Mark is keeping us updated on that one. In case you missed it, some scores from around the state earlier. So it looks like Lee County has defeated Tift in an absolute barn burner tonight, 41-33, the final there. Grayson was one play away from losing, and Thompson jumps off sides, gives Grayson new life. They take advantage, tie the game up, goes to overtime, and in overtime, Grayson comes back to defeat Thompson 24-23. And I'm sure as you guys heard this week, Travis Burgess, the 5-star quarterback and University of North Carolina commit, was injured. In fact, we had the detail on that story that really nobody else had. You guys can go to our ITG Next website. You can go to any of our platforms, our Facebook page, our social media accounts. And I've got the story. We've got it posted. And we got a little bit of insight from Brian DeBerry, the athletic director at Grayson, and Travis Burgess, his dad, Harold Burgess, told me that, look, we're devastated about the loss, but we got to push on, and nothing's going to change for Grayson. And I tell you what, this is a huge win, albeit without Travis Burgess. Mark, this is a big, big win for Grayson against Thompson, one of Alabama's strongest football teams.
Well, to me, Grayson may be still the team to beat. I mean, they'll rally around that. Unfortunately, it's tough. I hate that for Travis Burgess, first class guy. I mean, they had something special going. You'd like to see that play out with him, but Grayson's got so much talent. I mean, again, you talking about getting off the bus and looking at some kids that are impressive, and a lot of them. I mean, again, 10 through 12, 170 kids, and they are loaded. As you mentioned, Coach DeBerry said, look, our expectations are the same. And I honestly, you're going to miss a player like Travis Burgess in high school. I mean, there's no way around that.
Yeah.
However, I'm sure they have somebody very competent that'll come in there. And that team is very deep. I still say again, they're going to be maybe the team to beat potentially.
Oh, no doubt. By the way, so I did talk to Harold Burgess, Travis's dad, today again, and Travis is going to have knee surgery to go ahead and fix the torn ACL that he suffered in his left knee, and he'll start rehabbing and get ready for his freshman year at North Carolina. So we wish him all the best if you guys happen to be watching tonight.
Well, the great thing, I mean, there's nothing good about having that injury, but in today's world, in the way, uh, you know, the orthopedic world has improved so much. I mean, they come back from these ACLs and don't miss a beat.
You're right. Walt Taylor is asking a question, Mark. Walt Taylor wants to know, does Creekside play the Texas team again this year? Now, Walt, I thought it was the California team. I may be wrong. Mark, it wasn't Mater Dei that played Creekside, was it? Creekside, who was one of Georgia's best teams, lost to somebody really bad. Was it last year or the year before? It was like 60-0.
Yeah, if it was Mater Dei, that wouldn't surprise me. We don't want to see Mater Dei in Georgia right now. There's only a couple of teams that can play with those guys. They have a wide receiver, Chris Henry Jr. His dad played in the NFL. His dad died, and I can't really remember how. And Chris Henry Jr. and I think he has a brother. They were living with Adam Pac-Man Jones. Uh, Pac-Man Jones and Chris Henry played for the Bengals together, and
Yep.
that probably wasn't the best setup. I'm sure Pac-Man, he and Chris were good friends. He wanted to do the right thing, but from what I understand, grandmother lives in California and brought him to California. Anyway, he found his way to modern day. And, when I was out there last year, I had a chance to see him in person. But this kid's unstoppable. He's like 6'6", probably 230 wide receiver, and literally, you just couldn't stop him. I mean, they had no answer.
Okay, so it was a Texas team, DeSoto, as Alan Clanton just confirmed. Was that the team though, DeSoto, that beat Creekside so bad, guys? Fact check me on that. Let me know. Get back to us on that. But Walt, yeah. So as Alan Clanton told you, they'll play tomorrow. Creekside and DeSoto. Mark, I love those games that are these interstate games where
Oh, for
Georgia
sure.
plays a team from
Yeah, and I think if you can match it up, I think like I'd love to see DeSoto play Grayson or DeSoto play Buford, not to take anything away from Creekside, or DeSoto play Modern Day. Uh, there's really only two teams in California you got to watch out for. It's Bosco and Modern Day. Now, there's a few others that are good, but those are the two: Modern Day and Bosco.
yeah. Let me say this about Grayson, by the way. David Woods, appreciate the update. Yeah, we've been given this score. This game started at 6 o'clock. Still trying to figure out, by the way, why that game started at 6 o'clock, if anybody knows about that. Grayson comes from behind and defeats Thompson, Alabama in overtime 24-23. But, Mark, look at the schedule that Grayson has started off this year playing. They annihilated a really good Collins Hill team. Collins Hill 11-2 last year. They beat Collins Hill very handily to start the year. And then they played the Raven Gap Nakuchi team, which is a defending state champion. Crazy situation. They're a Georgia team, but they play in the North Carolina Independent Association. But they had to come from behind and beat them without Travis Burgess. Then tonight, they play another tough team. In fact, I think Thompson is another defending state champion over in Alabama. They come from behind and defeat them tonight, Mark. And now next week, Grayson's going to have to play another powerhouse. This one, Mallard Creek from South Carolina. And that game will be at Grayson. So say what you will about Grayson. They're not shying away from anybody. And by golly, they're handling these teams without their star quarterback. Says so much about Santavius Wright, the head coach at Grayson, Mark, and the leadership up there and just the way that they got that team constructed, which is built to withstand the loss of a key player if that happens. And by the way, Tyler Atkinson returning tonight after missing the first two games for Grayson, and he had a well of a game from what I understand.
Yeah, no question. Santavius Bryant, the head coach, he's a young guy. Those kids like him. No surprise that they won't. Look, I think they'll continue to win. I think it'll get very interesting. Uh, once November gets here and we get into the playoffs, of course, anything can happen. But they've got a chance. They could potentially run it back to back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dwayne Little. Phil, when you going to let us hear how excited you are about Tifton this year? That's your team. Let it out. Yeah, look, I grew up a Tift County fan. I'm not going to make any bones about it. And, yeah, I still follow and root for Tift County. Look, I don't hide it a bit. I root for Tift, and so I'm not going to be shy about that at all, Dwayne. They had a great game tonight, and they were very competitive. They lose to Lee County, but, yeah, man, excited about Tift County for sure. Mark's a Worth County fan.
Yeah, hey, the Rams won big tonight.
They did. Yeah, Worth all over Dooley.
You're home.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Happy to see Worth County back on the map. Again, another team I think that's gonna have a shot to go all the way. Again, it'll be interesting as the season goes on.
Our buddy Stephen K. Wynn, who has been at Lee County's game tonight, has been keeping me updated on that one, is checking into the show. What's up, Stephen K. Wynn? Tells us indeed, confirms that final that we talked about earlier, 41-33, Tift County losing to Lee County. But again, a very competitive game there. Thanks to everybody, and thank you, Stephen K. Wynn, for that. So Dr. Mike McCartney, again, talking about Jackson Dean, the former offensive coordinator at Cook, Mark. Berrien came from 12 points down late to score 15 unanswered to win 39-36. Big win for Berrien County. I bet they're dancing in the streets tonight in Nashville.
Oh, it's party time, no question. Good for them. No.
All right, Warner Robins did defeat. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Warner Robins defeated Northside 22-13.
I think that's a big surprise. I think it's going to take, again, Coach for a couple of years, but he's the kind of coach I believe that he's going to get some talent, attract some talent to come to Northside. He's a player's kind of coach. He does a great job. Obviously, what he did at Langston Hughes speaks for itself. It'll be interesting to see how that evolves over the next couple of years.
By the way, I was wrong. Dr. Mike took the night off from his play calling duties and is enjoying the show tonight. He's watching us from Anna Maria Island in Florida. Mark, you may know where that is.
You know what? I'm not sure I do, but it sounds like a place I need to know where it is, right? Anna Maria Island. Hey.
Dr. Mike making a little, hey, it's a Labor Day weekend. I keep forgetting about that. Labor Day weekend, Mark. Officially into summer.
Yeah, well, hey, I ought to be somewhere, right? Labor Day weekend, I ought to be somewhere vacationing.
Absolutely. Dave Pollard giving us an update. Mark Bowden over Bremen tonight, 48-7. By the way, this reminds me, Dave, can anybody update us on the Bremen quarterback? He was the young man that got hurt last year, had a scary spine injury. And I know he underwent rehabilitation, and I apologize. I can't recall his name. I just don't follow Bremen that closely. But he underwent took a rough hit last year. I think it was early in the season, and I would love to get a follow-up if anybody out there knows anything about that young man who plays for Bremen quarterback. And again, I apologize. I don't recall his name. But anyway, Bowden tonight defeats Bremen 48-7.
Well, anybody interested in the Georgia Tech Colorado game? They're tied at 20. 8 minutes left in the fourth. Colorado just scored to tie it up. So I do think a lot of people thought Georgia Tech would win that game. I got to say, they had all those turnovers in the first half, but got to give it to Colorado. They're hanging in there.
Mark, of course, Brent Key, the head coach for Georgia Tech, was our keynote speaker 2 years ago at our annual football banquet.
Great guy. Like him, he's doing a great job at Tech. I got to say, I did go to University of Colorado my sophomore year of college. So I guess I'm alma mater to see you. Beautiful place, beautiful stadium, but I probably kind of root for Tech. I mean, I'd like to see the Georgia team get the victory.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I call myself a Georgia Bulldog fan, but I want teams from the state to do well. I'm not one of these guys that's a Georgia fan and a Tech hater. I don't get that. I want Georgia Tech to win. I want Georgia to win. I want Georgia State to win. Georgia Southern to win. Stephen Tate, part of the Sunset Farms tailgate winning package, the Coffee Tailgate Brigade, won our very first week of our Sunset Farms Tailgate Challenge. Gives an update, says Coffee loses a close one. Mistakes are killing us. Yeah, that's kind of what happens with a young team, Mark. And Coffee is young this year.
Yeah, they are. So Phil got another thought. Any FSU fans out there, is Usmani Kromah going to make a difference Will he get his hands on the ball in tomorrow's game against Alabama?
Wow, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Mark. I think I heard where Usmani is on the Freshman of the Year watch list.
Yeah, I saw that too. I mean,
Yeah,
I'd love to see him get in the game. I will keep my eye on that game. Had a chance to meet him several times. Man, what a fine young man. Very talented, very determined. I think he could make a difference. Um, I, look, I got a full disclosure. I wish he'd have gone to Georgia. I think he's that kind of player. I think he can come in and make a difference. I hope he gets a chance to play tomorrow.
yeah, same here. Thomasville defeats Cairo 25-23. I tell you, that game was a
Whoa,
little closer than what I would have thought.
yeah. I thought Thomasville. I know they're a very good team, a really good quarterback. I had a chance to talk to him a couple of weeks ago. Man, what a great young man.
No doubt. Mark, you had mentioned earlier about Worth's big win. They shut out Dooley 53-0. By the way, this is worth mentioning. Richmond Hill played they had a makeup game on Monday. Richmond Hill, Glen Academy. Richmond Hill defeats Glen Academy. I think it was 21-0. Yeah, 21-0. So tonight, Richmond Hill playing again, and they were shutting out Everglades, Florida, 19-0. I don't know if that game's going to final, if anybody can update me on Richmond Hill, but Richmond Hill, Mark, is the team that nobody's talking about. Nobody's giving them credit. They're the 1-6A team. Everybody seems to think that it's Colquitt, Valdosta, Lowndes, and no, who am I forgetting here? Valdosta, Lowndes, Valdosta, Lowndes, Colquitt. Yeah. And then there's kind of talk about who's going to be the fourth team, and but everybody's just kind of forgetting about Tift and Richmond Hill. And I know we got a long way to go, but I tell you, the way Tift and Richmond Hill are playing, Market, this thing could be. And I've predicted this. I think 1-6A is as unpredictable, Mark, as it's ever been.
Well, Phil. Well, first of all, we just Thomasville won 45-23.
Okay.
Got corrected here, so that game was not as close as you had mentioned. But Phil, as
Okay.
a Tift County fan, we know you're feeling better this year, better than in
No
years
doubt.
past when you
No
pumping
doubt.
up Tift County and all of a sudden it just kind of goes south, especially under the prior leadership. So you're a little bit optimistic this year, so that's good.
Well, yeah, I'm excited that they're playing better. But, look, Colquitt, I think Colquitt's going to be okay. Last report we had was that they were losing
Yeah, they
to
got beat.
North
Game's
Gwinnett.
over.
What was the final?
You know what? I think it was 21-7. I believe that. I believe
Interesting.
that was the final score.
I think I predicted Colquitt to win by that score. I'll double
Oh,
check in my pick six.
well,
Right score, wrong team.
yeah. Well, you could cheat a little bit and just say, "Hey, it got mixed up." Yeah.
I love it. North Gwinnett. Hey, listen, if that's a big win for them, Mark. They lost a lot of players on offense, but the one thing North Gwinnett has still got is that great defense. And man, you know what they say about great defenses? Great defenses can win you games and championships, right?
Well, look. Let's face it. If you look at the highest level of Super Bowl, the Eagles won it with a good running game and defense. I mean, the
Yeah,
running back
yeah.
is back at the highest level. Uh, that's why the Eagles won because of their offensive line, their running game, got a running quarterback, and a great defense.
So after a scare, McEachern comes from behind to defeat Marietta. McEachern stays undefeated. Houston County stays undefeated. There's a reason I'm going somewhere with this. So Tift County loses their first game. Colquitt County loses their first game. So our coaches show winning
Uh-oh.
streak is over.
Phil, might be rough for you. Well, it won't be Monday. It'll be Tuesday. Monday being
That's
the
right.
holiday. So,
Yep.
yeah, oh well. But you know what? We all have to keep it in perspective. It is high school football. We know everybody wants to. Look, I always say you have people in the stands that are say, hey, run this player. This player should do that. Well, hey, nobody wants to win more than the coach and the players.
Right.
Right.
That's
They're
right.
all working hard. So again, there is more to it at the high school level. In my opinion, I watch a lot of football, all levels.
Yep.
Right now in today's world, high school is more physical. High school is more physical than the NFL. Now, when I say that, they let them play in high school. They throw more
Yep.
flags at the NFL level. I'm not
Yep.
suggesting that the hits aren't harder, in the NFL, but in high school, they let them play. And then I also, last time I checked, we don't have any female refs officiating these high school games. Although, who knows? There's a shortage of refs, right? But I
There
do
are.
think it's a pure game. It's a fun watch. And we can all go watch our local high school play. And you can get a ticket that is not going to cost you a gazillion dollars. You go to a pro game today or a big time college game, you're going to spend some money just to get in, and then you're going to spend some money even to buy a soft drink. So I love the high school game, still do. I've always had a passion for it, and I think it's more competitive than ever.
No question. Look, I said this last year, leading into the season. I thought that there was more expectations going into last year than ever before. Turned out to be an exciting year. And Mark, I said the same thing about this year. I just felt like we devoted a lot of time to covering high school football all off season, probably more than we ever have. And there was so much talk. Normally in the past, there's been a little bit of people kind of quiet down a little bit in the off season, and then they get ready, about a month before the start of the season. This year was not like that. People were revved up, ready all off season long, right, going right into the start of the regular season this year, and it has not let up. And just look at the games like we've had tonight: the Tiff Lee game, Grayson Thompson game, just all these, the Colquitt North Gwinnett game, all these games that are just going down to the wire. And I just think that there's never been more excitement in Georgia high school football than what we're seeing this year. Would love to know if you guys agree with me on that.
Yeah, I think in football in general, and I think part of what's fueling this, it's a little bit counterintuitive because of NIL and the transfer portal. Really, only the cream of the crop in high school are getting these NIL deals and getting all the best opportunities out of high school. That top 10%, it's harder now for these other kids to get scholarship opportunities, NIL opportunities. And so you're seeing them go to smaller colleges, then to get an opportunity to go play, the bigger college and maybe some NIL money. But I do think that all these kids are working harder during the off season. They're participating in more of these 7-on-7s and these camps and
Yeah,
those
right.
types of things. And you talk a lot about, well, how can a freshman quarterback come in and perform so well? They're trained. I mean, they're starting to train now so young uh, because money is beginning to creep into at the high school level. It just is. There's no going back.
Absolutely. All right. So we were wondering earlier, and Mark, I want to get your take on this. So I was wondering earlier, someone had brought up the DeSoto Creekside game. Creekside, one of the strongest Georgia high school football teams. Luke Nelson confirms it was 70-0.
Yeah, they might
DeSoto
not better
defeating.
play Creekside. They may not better play DeSoto this year. I mean, DeSoto
Well,
is the highest classification in Texas. I mean,
Okay.
I think when you think about Texas, you think of Allen, you think of Katy, you think of DeSoto in those higher classifications. Lower classification, Salina, where we had an opportunity to go, just an incredible place and atmosphere. But yeah, DeSoto and Katy and Allen. Gosh, and there's another one that's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. Again, I'd like to see DeSoto play modern day. Maybe try to make that happen.
Well, so Dwayne Little takes it a step further, just like I thought. So the last 2 years, Creekside has played both Mater Dei and DeSoto. And Mark, the games have not been close. I think that Mater Dei score was 63-0, DeSoto 70-0. Mark, here's my point. Look, we in Georgia think that we've got the best brand of high school football, and I'm sure every state thinks that and brags about that. But Mark, when you're a good top flight team like Creekside Seminoles are a great football team. I'm not taking anything away from them. But man, you cannot get beat 63-0 and 70-0 by anybody and think that you can maintain any bragging rights. I don't know. Just help me out there, Mark.
Well, I would first of all, I just wonder how those games came about. I wonder, and again, with all due respect to Creekside, I mean, again, if Modern Day or DeSoto is going to play a team in Georgia, play Milton last year. Milton could have played with anybody the last 2 years, and is
Agreed.
actually very good this year. You play a Buford, or you play a Grayson, or you play a Carrollton, uh, or even a Cochran or Valdosta. Um, I don't understand really how that game took place. I'd be curious to know how
So,
it came about.
yeah, and if anybody knows, let us know about that. By the way, we're a little over halfway into our Friday night extra point scoreboard show. I'm Phil Jones, Mark Dykes. We are your co-host tonight. Thanks so much for being with us on this Labor Day weekend. I guess we're kind of kicking off the start of what's going to be a long Labor Day weekend where everybody having off on Monday. So thank you so much for joining us. Hey, hopefully a lot of you get to sleep in tomorrow morning because we're going to be with you till midnight tonight. So thanks so much for being with us. But Mark, I want to run something by you, and I want to ask you guys about this. So I took a little bit of heat because, as most of you may know, I maintain our top 10 list. I've been doing that for now the last few years. And Mark, I kept Creekside ranked fairly low in the top 10 just because I didn't think they deserved to be ranked that high when you're losing as bad as they lost. Now, Creekside had the final say. They had the final word on me. They won the state championship. And so, all's fine in love and war. But I don't know. I'd like to get y'all's take on that. Mark, I want to get your take on that. If a team is getting beat that bad, do they deserve to be ranked, even though it's not a Georgia team? But I just think if you are a top tier team, you shouldn't be getting beat 70-0. I don't know. Just my take. But listen,
But
no offense to Creekside, they're a great team.
yeah, but listen, there's a difference in tiers. I saw Modern Day up close last week. I saw them
Sure.
up close
Right.
last year.
Yeah.
It's like comparing apples and oranges. They're getting players from the greater Los Angeles area, millions of people. Everybody wants to send their kid there. In fact, when we were in Fort Lauderdale, we stopped by a restaurant to eat before we were going to the game. The waiter came up and I said, "Hey, have you ever been here before?" "No, we're just in town for, just for today. I want to see some high school football." Well, what are the odds at the table behind us are the parents of the kid that plays for Modern Day? He heard us say that and turned around, so we started having a conversation. So his son is a junior at Modern Day, who is a great looking athlete who is hoping to start next year. Okay, he's a junior, great looking athlete. He was at another school somewhere in LA, and he said, we decided, to see if we could get into Modern Day and let him play there. And so that plays out all over California. Make no mistake about it, there's some other solid programs around, but people go to Bosco in modern day. I think modern day's mystique is unmatched, really. I mean, you look at their pedigree. So they're getting players. It would be like just pick a team in Atlanta, be it Blackwell Creekside, any team in Atlanta. It would be like them getting their pick of the players in the greater Atlanta area. That's what modern day
Right.
is. With
Yeah.
the with some of the players coming from other states to play there.
Right.
So that's
Right.
what you're up against.
I got you. I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the same. Yeah.
All right. So getting back to Kenneth Hurst is representing TCC. TCC checking in with Kenneth Hurst. What's up, Kenneth? I know you got to be happy tonight. Thomas County Central on a roll. Mark and I have been talking about this. I don't think. Look, I'll go ahead and say this. I don't know if anybody's going to stop Thomas County Central this year. They look. You've heard the term, the phrase "getting." They look good getting off the bus. Yeah, that's Thomas County Central, man. They look really good getting off the bus. I mean, really good. By the way, Mike McCartney tells us Berkin Catholic beat Buford a few years back. I did not know that.
How about that? That hurts me. we can't let that happen.
David Woods, I think it was Bishop Gorman Creekside played. Maybe so. Could have been another one. Yep. Let's see here. David Woods tells us Grayson defense played outstanding across the board. Again, just a huge win. I know they were glad, Mark, to get Tyler Atkinson back tonight, who had missed the first two games. Tyler Atkinson acting up is his official phrase.
Yeah, you're talking about a great athlete. He's built different. He is
Isn't he?
wired different, built different. I had a chance to see them practice over the summer, and I mean it was a very tough workout, and a lot of those players were just struggling to get through it. He was not phased by the workout. Not phased.
Really?
Yeah, not phased. Yeah, he's a different.
How about that?
Again, another one.
Wesley.
Another player as a Bulldog fan. I hated that Texas came in and got from us. I mean, but what can you do? I mean, at the end of the day, those Texas schools have a lot of NIL money. We're seeing that play out more and more. It's hard for these Georgia colleges or even some of these all the SEC schools to compete, quite frankly, with that. And again, I can't fault the player. I mean, you got a super high profile school like Texas,
right?
Everything equal, I think I'll go with the most money.
Well, Wesley and Crystal Smith checking in to the show says Ware County has some great running backs. Tell us a little bit about them. Who are they? Ware is looking good so far this year. Of course, they always seem to look to do well over there in Waycross. Kenneth Hurst tells us Thomasville 45-23 tonight, that final. Jamie Ledger gives us an update. Jamie, I know you're a big Crisp County fan. Fitzgerald over Crisp tonight, 30-7. Stephen Tate says, as a Florida fan, I can't stand FSU or Alabama.
Oh, my goodness. Well, hey,
Lord.
I understand that. But, I got to tell you, I like FSU. In my college travels, I went to a junior college in Tallahassee Community College my first year, and I went to all the FSU games and had a great experience. So, I like to follow these kids out of Georgia and certainly South Georgia. I want to see Cromar do well. I'd love to see FSU have a great year. And
yeah, me too.
Gosh, I always root for SEC, but I got to tell you, I'm rooting for FSU tomorrow. I'm going to deviate away. I'm an SEC guy through and through, but I'm rooting for FSU tomorrow and lose my Cromar.
I got you. All right, Claudia Noel Main is checking in. What's up, Claudia? Big Lounge super fan. Gives us, I think this is the first update we've had on the Lounge game, Mark. Lounge 37-6 over Central Gwinnett tonight. So
No,
Lowndes stays perfect on the year.
yeah, no surprise there.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, I don't. I think Lowndes could sneak up on some people this year. I really do. I do think they're flying under the radar a little bit. I mean, we know they have a very talented quarterback. I know some of their offensive linemen have gotten some offers. Uh, Watch out. I think Lowndes is under the radar a little bit.
Christian Phillips gives us an update. Schley, 20-6 on Irwin. Irwin having a rough year this year, definitely in a rebuilding mode, are the Indians. I think this is the first points Irwin has scored this year, by the way. So who else we got checking out the show? Talk to us, guys. Let us know where you're checking out the show from. Alan Clanton. Yeah, he told us that Georgia Tech and Colorado tied at 20. Auburn leads Baylor 31-24. Now, I don't know how old that comment is from Alan. I'm a little behind here. Mark, you got anything update on that Colorado-Georgia yet?
You know what? It's in a commercial right now. There was about
Oh,
5
darn
minutes left.
commercials.
Colorado had the ball in their own territory. Let's see when they come back from commercial where that game is.
Dietrich Andu says, "What's up, Phil and Mark? What an exciting game. Thomasville and the Cairo Syrup Makers. Dogs on top, 45-23. Alan Clanton will help you out here, Alan. Anyone got any updates on Hebron Christian and McCallie, Tennessee? Prince Avenue Christian, Blessed Trinity. Boy, that's a good one there. Well, we need to get an update on that one for sure. Swainsboro Metter, Mark or Alan, I know you were looking for an update. Swainsboro all over Metter, I believe, tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Sandy Creek, LaGrange. Sandy Creek easily handling LaGrange, Alan. I know that. So just calling off some of the comments that are coming in tonight. We love the comments, guys. There's our buddy Obadiah Farley checking in for the first time tonight, Mark. Thomas County Central's #1 fan. Where you been, Obadiah? Oh, he tells me, I'm just leaving the Thomasville game, and they barely escaped.
Thomasville game, yeah. Yeah,
Obadiah, what you doing at Thomasville? What's he doing?
I believe he had to be at TCC, being a little, they barely escaped.
Obadiah, what you doing, man? What are you doing at Thomasville? We're going to have to tell on you. Thomas County Central's #1 fan, crosstown rival. Larry Godwin, LG's checking in, Mark.
LG,
what's up, LG?
Update on Lowndes. LG talked to us. Is Lowndes?
Well, LG's asking, Mark, is Tift ahead of schedule? So let's tackle
that's your team now. That's your team. I mean, I think they're on schedule. I think he's doing a great job. They got a couple of wins. Hard-fought game tonight. Watch out. It'll be interesting to see when region play starts.
Well, let's look at it this way to answer his question, LG's question. LG, by the way, great hearing from you. I was hanging out with some of the tailgaters that were talking about you tonight, LG, at Lowndes. But anyway, so LG wants to know, is Tift ahead of schedule? Let me answer it this way. So let's compare this year so far versus where Tift was at, Mark, this same point last year. Okay, Tift lost to Gadsden County last year. I think it was like, and somebody may correct me on the score, I think it was like 47-7. Okay, that was last year to Gadsden County. This year, Tift shuts out Gadsden 22-0. That was last week. Last year, Lee County beats Tift about the same score. It was about 42-7 or something. It was bad. This year, and in fact, the game tonight, Tift and Lee back and forth. Tift actually led this game early. In fact, this thing went back and forth, was really in doubt right up until the end mark. So I think Tift is definitely ahead of schedule compared to where they have been. That would be my answer, Mark. What about you? What say you?
Well, yeah, for sure. I think they're in much better shape than they have been in years past. And, I think I forget the coach's name that came from Michigan. I think he did the best of his ability, but South Georgia is a little bit different. To get in this environment. You know what I mean? It's just different.
Yeah.
It's physical, and so they just the kids just weren't up to speed. Again, that's a leadership issue. We know that Coach Littleton, he plays a physical brand of football. That's not going to happen under his watch. So yeah, 100%. I think they're ahead of schedule. And by the way, Georgia Tech just scored a touchdown with a minute left. So Colorado will have about a minute. So Georgia Tech's up by a touchdown.
Very good. That game in Boulder, Mark.
That game is in Boulder. Yes.
Um. Okay. So there's something I was going to mention here, and I lost my train of thought here.
Feel
It'll
you
come
getting
back to
old,
me.
man.
Well, ain't no doubt about that. That I am.
Better than the alternative, though, right?
Listen, stay active. I think young. Got to think young. You be young. You know what I mean? I still like to get out, and get active, and that's the key. I think. Chandler, how? I'm still wanting to know why that Grayson game started at 6. I know you were updating us earlier on that. I'm kind of curious why that thing was ranked or was started at 6 o'clock. Grayson, though, bounces back, gets the 1-point win without Travis Burgess, 24-23. The Peach County Trojans, I think, won big tonight over Berkmar. Stephen
Yeah.
K. Wynn, Phil, you need to take a trip to modern day St. John Bosco. We leave that up to Mark, man. Mark is our traveling guy. Mark
Yeah,
has
you
been to
leave
those
all,
schools.
yeah. You leave all the traveling to me. Yes, I've been to. Let's see, where have I been to? St. Bosco. I've been to Modern Day. Um,
Yeah.
I've been by DeSoto. I hadn't gone to a game. But yeah, it's a different world in some of these places.
Jason Green says, and Mark, I want to get your take on this. Jason Green says Valdosta is going to be a problem for people this year. What do you think about that?
I agree with him totally. I do believe Valda again. I think they're flying a little bit under the radar. I think the Wintersville game. Well, first of all, Wintersville is always just an incredible game to me. Just such a great atmosphere. I do. I think I mentioned this before. The guy at Rival said, he came to a Wintersville game last year. Said he had never experienced a high school football game like that. And this is one of the guys that runs for Rivals who goes all over the place. And so, what a game that will be. But yeah, I agree. I think both Valdosta and Lowndes watch out with Colquitt getting beat tonight. I think the region is up for grabs.
I do too.
Certainly, it'd be nice to have that number one seed, get home field advantage. That always helps.
I agree with everything you said. So J.E. Woods gives us an update. I was following this Mill Creek Archer game earlier. I know it was tied pretty early, 14-14, which was a little bit of a surprise, but it looks like Mill Creek got up and running and they pulled away, defeating Archer tonight 45-29. Alan Clanton says he found the Hebron Christian score and says they lost 24-8. There's another crazy score. Hebron Christian, Mark, the defending private state champion, losing 24-8. And I think that was to a South Carolina team, or no, a McCallie, Tennessee team tonight. Yet another bad turnout for a Georgia team in one of these interstate games. And that's the state champion losing.
Yeah, again, it's high school kids. You never know how it's going to go. Who was traveling? Where was that game playing?
I believe that was in McCallie, Tennessee.
Okay, so it was there. Yeah, so they were traveling.
Hebron Christian, the defending private state champion. Remember, we got the private split when it comes to playoffs. I like that, by the way. I like how they do that.
And Phil, do you know? I mean, does the GHSA allow the Georgia teams? I believe they do to play in an additional game after the season's over.
Yes.
You know how they'll have that. I know some of the teams do not allow, or some of the states don't allow their teams to do that.
Texas
So
does not, Mark.
yeah, and I'm not sure about even California. Um, but it'll be interesting to see. And I don't know what the latest national rankings are, but I mean, really, at the end of the day, how do you have national rankings for high school? I mean, I think you do the best you can. I think clearly modern day IMG, St. Francis. Those are like just a smaller college. Uh, but it would be interesting to see. Again, I mentioned that you feel I would have loved to have seen Milton and modern day play last year.
Yes, yes,
I honestly think that
100%.
Milton could have played with them. That team could have played with modern day, I believe.
I agree.
It was just incredible. It's a generational team.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, and I'm glad you brought that up. So it has been a passion of mine, and I hope one day that this will come to fruition. I would love to see something as close as we can get to a national high school football playoff. Now, I know until these state associations, Mark, like we were just talking about, until associations like the Texas State Association and some of the others allowed their teams to play an additional game above and beyond their state final games, because Texas right now, their state champions cannot go and play another game. Georgia can. We've seen like Valdosta and these other teams from Georgia. Grayson, I believe it was 2 years ago. They both played in the Geico, state
Right.
champion series. But I would love to see something as close as we can get to. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because it's not, because of the setup. But I'd love to see something similar, a facsimile of a national playoff that can establish a true, as close to a true national champion, Mark, versus this mythical national champion that we see crowned every year by Max Preps, USA Today, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we get a flavor of that with these games at the beginning of the season. I think that's probably about about the best we're going to get. Once you play 15 games, even if you add another 16 games, that's a lot. That's a lot for these kids to play for a high school student. You got to think that's more than the colleges play. Uh,
Yeah,
again, a 15 game season compared to college. Now with the playoff, it may be close to 15. NFL has a 17 game regular season play more, but for a high school student, 15 games is a lot. I think the best we can hope for some good matchups at the beginning of the season, and then maybe a couple of big matchups again at the end of the season, Phil, that you're referring to.
yeah. And I'd be happy with that. But you're right, Mark. There's definitely some challenges that you just mentioned, that you just explained, that would have to be overcome, and for that to be reality. But our buddy Rosser Sutherland, big Marietta fan up in Marietta. Rosser Sutherland checks in the show and says, "I just got home. Not sure to be mad or happy tonight. Marietta dominated McEachern defensively, but lost after giving up 16 gift wrap points. Marietta forced 4 turnovers, but only converted 2 for 10 points. Typical rivalry game. A couple of Cobb County teams there, Mark, in McEachern and Marietta. Big rivalry game. Kareem Reed and McEachern, the Indians, remain undefeated, defeating Marietta. And let me say this real quick. We've been talking about Marietta. We've been talking about Cameron Duke, Mark. We met, I think you went down and met Cameron Duke down when he was at Edgewater. He's now at Marietta doing a great job. And I know that our guy Flint went and worked out with Marietta after Cameron Duke had gotten there. But there's another program, something similar to like Tift, where Marietta is showing major improvement over last year with a new head coach. So is it measured in wins? Not necessarily, but it's still showing improvement, a lot of improvement.
Well, you've got to get your team to a point to where you need to win the games that you should win. Sounds like
Yeah,
Marietta should have won that game, and you can probably chalk it up for just hadn't had a lot of success. People get down, could not get over, couldn't follow through. So, I mean, you want to get your team to where when you're out playing the other team, then you need to win the game.
absolutely. So Stephen K. Wynn says Tift County is much better than last year. Stephen was at that Lee County game tonight. Stephen, thanks so much for checking out the show. Simo Villalobos, Gainesville Red Elephant fan, says Gainesville has a bye week next week, and then they host Carrollton at Beautiful City Park. Let me say this, that's going to be, yeah.
Well, I was going to say You can look for the red elephants in that one.
against Carrollton.
I believe so.
Wow. Well, I tell you, if you're right, that's a big win, and I think that right there, they lost to Carrollton last year. Mark, that's a big win. If they can get that, it may indicate that our guy up there has got Niblett, Coach Niblett. Took me a second. Niblett may have Gainesville right back on track for a run at a state championship. I know 5A. I think 5A is the toughest classification in the state from top to bottom.
Well, it's going to come down to what we said. Most likely, it's going to be Gainesville and Milton from on the north end, and you're going to have TCC and Lee and Houston and
Yep.
whoever else down here. So again, you're right. Very, very competitive classification with that top
Yeah.
five.
Chandler Howell says, I'm not sure why the game started at 6, but I'll be back in Grayson next Friday. That's going to be another big game for Grayson. Man, they're starting off. They're battling all of these out-of-state powerhouses. Got to give them credit for that. And so far, so good if you are a Grayson fan. Alan Clanton says Valdosta is darn good, but please stop playing those cupcake teams out of region schedule, some of the top Georgia schools. Now, he's got a pretty good point there.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to work teams out. Not sure how that happens. I agree. I think it's good to get some stiffer competition on the front end to get you ready for the region and the playoffs. But again, I feel like unfortunately, the South Georgia teams are all under the radar a little bit now with Cockwood losing. I don't think there's as much talk in 6A about even Camden, Valdosta, Lowndes. And now Cockwood may fall off a little bit. But
You're right.
look, we all know in South Georgia, these teams on any given day, they can beat anybody.
I agree. Leslie Fennell is checking out the show, Valdosta fan. Valdosta 52-3, ready to see game with Jessup next week. It's actually Jesuit, but I know what you're talking about, Leslie. That's going to be against Jesuit, Florida. Valdosta goes down to Jesuit last year and picks up a big win. I think that game is going to be at Valdosta next week. Should be a great game. Leslie, thanks so much for checking out the show. Mike Thompson tells us, confirms, Mark, the game you're watching, Tech has indeed won over Colorado tonight.
Yep. Georgia Tech scored late. Quarterback had a big run. Glad to see Tech win that game. And Valdosta playing Jesuit. I believe, is that Jesuit that's out of Tampa or near Tampa?
Yeah, that's it.
Private school? Yeah.
Yep.
So they probably have maybe the better or maybe the best program in that Tampa area. I mean, they're known down there. So,
Yep.
you think maybe that would be a pretty good test.
Philip Jacob Williams, appreciate you guys with the late night coverage. Man, we are glad to do it. Philip Jacob Williams, appreciate you checking out. Philip, where you at, brother? Check us. Let us know where you're checking out the show from. Appreciate you doing that, or saying that, rather. All right, let's see. Zach Hancock. Tiff County football is back. The refs cost us the game tonight. Don't you? Hey, your team is back when you can blame it on the refs, Mark.
Well, the refs always cost the game, except over at TCC. When you score a gazillion points, it's hard to come up with that excuse, right? But
that's right.
Close games and look, unfortunately, I mean, there are some bad calls. I mean, look, these refs are human. They are at high school level. They don't really make anything to mention that to call these games, and they're in a no-win situation. Half the people going to like them, half the people going to hate them. Do they make a few bad calls sometimes? They do. I mean, look, I think I've mentioned it. I don't know if I mentioned this last week or not, but I think the worst thing I've seen is back when Rush Approach was up in Warner Robins, and I believe he's playing Northside. It seems like there'd be a lot of funky calls for our South Georgia teams up in that stadium. I've seen Lowndes play Northside, and I'm sitting there watching a pass interference call that did not get called, and I'm 15 foot from the plate, but they literally took it down from Cockwood. It should have been third down, and the ref said no, it was fourth down, and gave the ball back to North Side. And I
Yeah.
honestly thought, Rush was going to have a heart attack in that field. And I mean, maybe rightfully so, because it was legit. They went back and looked, and the refs just mixed up the down. They took it down from Cochran. I've never seen anything quite like that.
So, Mark, I did not know this. Zach Hancock tells us that Tift actually scored a touchdown late with 1:30 left, and it was called back on an illegal man downfield. That would have put them in a position to go for two for a potential tie. So, how about that, Mark?
Oh,
Didn't
you
know that.
wonder if was Coach Fabrizio getting favoritism from the refs? Newsflash. What crew was working over there?
Maybe that was a little bit of what do they call them, Mark? The makeup calls, right?
Yeah, I don't know, something like that. Maybe all that lobbying Coach Fabrizio does help him out. Illegal man downfield. How about that?
It was an illegal man downfield. Apparently, Dejon caught a touchdown with 1:30 left, and they called an illegal man downfield after he had caught the ball. Oh, boy, yeah, those are tough. Now, I got to be honest with you.
Well, I'd love to see the film on that one.
No doubt.
You look at the film and that's one call you can determine. Was it legit or was it not?
You know one thing, Mark? We're going to find out. We'll ask Jeff Littleton about it on the Tift County Coaches Show on Tuesday.
There you go. Jeff's not the kind of guy that'll make excuses.
You're right. You're right. Mark, and I think really his demeanor is a lot to do, seriously, with, taking over a Tift County team and trying to will them back, trying to get them to play football. He's a no-nonsense kind of guy, and he's just not the kind of guy that you can envision arguing with the referees. He may leave that up to some assistant coaches, but Littleton is not that way. He's just very even-keeled, and I think, though, that rubs off on the players when you're trying to build a program. You agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And look, I mean, again, Calder's going to get this. If you're Tift County and that was a questionable call, that is hard to swallow because you are trying, to make progress with your team and your program. So again, man, those guys are human, and at the end of the day, you can't let the game come down to a play, but in a close game, one play can make the difference. I know
No
a lot of
doubt.
coaches say, "Well, hey, we can't let one call determine the game." But in that case, it could have very well been that one play.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, anyway, let's see who else we got checking out the show. Obadiah Farley says Cairo syrup makers gave the Bulldogs a run for their money. Yeah, that's again a great game tonight. Sounds like for Cairo. The best nickname mascot in the world in high school football, the syrup makers.
That's a good one. Look, your buddy Stephen K. Wynn, I beg to differ about the officiating favoring Lee County. Who knows? Maybe Coach Fabrizio's turned the corner. He's getting some calls.
Cole Moore,
eligible player downfield on the play. Yeah, who knows? It'll be interesting. I'm sure somebody will have the field.
Obadiah Farley says we need ITG to come out of retirement and broadcast this game this Friday, Thomas County Central in Thomasville. We've done that game the last 2 years.
Well, Phil, here's what you ought to do. You ought to just go live and call the first part of that game sitting right there. Just have it up on the screen somewhere and call it up for people to play by play. And then just switch over to this and go live at 10 from 10 to 12.
Let's do it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Absolutely. Cole Moore, Thomas County Central fan, says Thomasville Bulldog business becomes our business next week. Central by 60. Oh, Lord. I wouldn't doubt it. Callan Clanton says 160.
Come on
Hey,
now.
check out who's watching the show. Larry Thompson. This is JT's dad, Larry Thompson. Roswell kicks a field goal as time expires to beat Walton 30-28 in a thriller at Walton tonight.
Well,
So,
Roswell was
Mark,
winning pretty big, right? Weren't they for a while?
they were. I'm surprised at that. Now, Larry, that means that Walton was winning by a point. If Roswell kicks a field goal, that means Roswell must have been down 28-27.
How about that?
By the way, Roswell's got one of the top field goal kickers in the state. In fact, in my top 10 kickers, he was our number one guy.
Good field goal kicker. That's like a punter, boy. Having a good field goal kicker can make a huge difference. I know we got Stephen K. Wynn still with us, Big Lee County guy. Stephen K. Wynn, what do you think about Usmani Krutmadamal? Is he gonna make a difference or get his hands on the ball when FSU plays Alabama?
Yeah. So, real quick, Larry Thompson, thanks so much for checking out the show, brother. We appreciate you, man. Larry and his company sponsoring the Roswell Coaches Show this year.
Yeah, I was a little shocked that game came down to a field goal.
Me too. Larry, thanks for that update, buddy. I appreciate that. All right, so now these McEachern and Marietta fans are kind of trading some jabs. Ross or Sutherland, maybe we'll see McEachern again in the playoffs as our regions align in round one.
You never know. That's the beauty about the playoffs. You can't get to the
Rosser says maybe Cantrell Stadium won't be condemned by then like it currently is. They're having some structural issues out there at Cantrell Stadium. I think they got all the fans sitting on one side. Mark, I told you about that.
Well, we don't want it to collapse.
No, we don't want that for sure. On Simo Villalobos, big Gainesville fan says, revenge tour this season. Guys, we want it all this year. Juan Simo, looks like your Gainesville Red Elephants are definitely back this year. They had a little bit of an off year last year, Mark, but, Coach had told us that it was all about, moving forward and taking the challenge in the way they played last year, making that their rallying cry this year, and so far, he has certainly done that.
Well, Coach did that's very competitive. Again, you're not going to out prepare him. You're not going to outwork him. Gainesville again will be a tough out. Boy, it's going to be great to watch the playoffs in 5A. And Gainesville's got Carrollton. They also play Milton. You're talking about a great game. That's going to be an awesome game.
Yeah, we did that game. That was our ITG Next Game of the Week, one of our games of the week last year, up at Gainesville.
Yes.
Game was back and forth, then Milton pulls away. Guys, I have said this. Mark knows what I'm talking about. You are as good as your quarterback. Now, an exception to that is the way Grayson was able to bounce back without their guy. I had a lot of people telling me I had predict Grayson to win. A lot of people said, no, Phil, you're going to be wrong because they don't have Travis Burgess. Well, I said, no, that's not going to happen. They're still going to win the game, and they did. But look at Milton. Now, there's no doubt Luke Nickel was one of the most dominant quarterbacks I have ever seen in my life, Mark. And Derek Baker is pretty good too.
No question. And just to give you a contrast about close games, when you talk about a tick or someone, you look at Grayson, who lose their quarterback. They win the game. He goes out close. They win this week in a close game, and they're playing very strong competition.
Yeah.
Boy, Santavius Bryant's got to feel good about that in that program, the way they're rallying and winning these games that are close. That's going to help them as the season goes on.
Absolutely. And I guess that's what I'm saying. You are as good as your quarterback. There are exceptions. And when you've got a strong team full of talent like Grayson is, Mark, if you lose a guy, a stud quarterback like Travis Burgess, you've got enough guys like a Tyler Atkinson and those guys to pick everybody else up. Somebody just else has to rise to the top. And that's what you got at Grayson. That's the benefit of having such great talent, more than one great talented player like Grayson does.
Well, I know Grayson, Travis Burgess, Tyler Atkinson, rightfully so. You talk about them, but again, as I mentioned, they got a lot of players and they got a lot of good looking athletes. They are way more than just those top two, three players that get all the publicity. You're going to be hearing about these other players as well. I mean, they are loaded.
All right, guys, stay with us. We got about 15 minutes left to go in our show tonight. Stay with us, guys. Don't bail out on us. Don't go to bed yet. Mike Thompson says, I still believe Tift County will shake up that region. Mike, I feel the same way. I think Region 16A, Mark talked about it a couple of minutes ago. I think Region 16A is wide open this year. I don't think there's any one dominant team right now in 16A. Valdosta's good. Lowndes is good. Tift is playing well. Colquitt, they're going to be in the mix. But Tift and Richmond Hill are not playing bad. I mentioned earlier Richmond Hill played 2 games this week. They shut out Gun Academy Monday, and I believe they won again tonight. They played the Everglades tonight. Last thing I had was 19-0 Richmond Hill. I don't know if we can get a final on that game. But anyway, Mike Thompson, I am in line with you for sure.
Yeah, Phil, I don't know. We just don't really know until we see Mounts and Valdosta, play a little bit stiffer competition to see how that'll shake out. Of course, they play each other in Wintersville game. I don't know when that game is. Do you know when Wintersville is this year, Phil?
They were telling me tonight, I think it's Halloween night, October 31st.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Mark, how big is Wintersville when it's on Halloween night? I bet the city of Valdosta will put forth some kind of resolution to reschedule trick or treat.
Yes, at Valdosta, 7:30, Halloween night. I always try to go to Wintersville. I mean,
no doubt. Guys, Mark said it earlier, and I'm telling you, I've also been to so many games. I've never seen anything like that Wintersville Classic. We went to that Wintersville Classic 2 years ago. We were on the sideline. Man, we were fortunate to be with Randy McPherson and Maurice Freeman. And that was a big part of it. But the atmosphere at that game that night was unlike anything I have ever seen in my life. Ever.
Yeah, especially when it's at Lowndes and they have that band with 400 plus members. That just kind of tops off that atmosphere. It's incredible. But boy, it'd be extra special on Halloween night.
So Stephen K. Wynn was answering your question about Usmani Cromah, Mark. He said, yeah, he'll play, and I want to see him do well tomorrow, talking about the former Lee County great.
Well, I will be rooting for him as well, Stephen. I'd love to have him make a big play or something in that game. I'm rooting for that kid. He had a chance to meet him and his mother and his family, and I mean, just good people, very level-headed guy. So again, I hated that Georgia couldn't get him. I think he's going to make an impact, and I'm looking forward to that game tomorrow. Excuse me.
Aaron from WAOB is watching the show. Aaron, would love to hear your comments, buddy, and you do great work for WAOB. Where were you at tonight, Aaron? I know you were at a game tonight.
He was Cole Moore everywhere.
Right, probably was. Yeah. Well, they got somebody everywhere. I love how they do those highlights from all over, the area. Cole Moore. How about Grayson pulling it off in overtime, 24-23 over Thompson? Yeah, Cole, we were talking about that earlier. Grayson trailed in that game for most of the game. And again, we talked about this earlier. My buddy Alan Clinton was keeping me updated on that, said that Thompson basically had the game won. And they jump off sides on a 4th down They could have won the game. They jump on sides, give Grayson a second wind. And boy, what happens when you give a championship team a second chance, Mark? They take advantage of it. And that's what
Yes, they
Grayson
do.
did.
Yes, they do. Again, Grayson knows how to win. They're winning these close games against really good teams with some adversity. Let's face it. I mean, your leader, one of your leaders, and the leader of offense goes out of the game. You win that game. You come back. You know he's out all year. You win another very close game. They're just building up. That closeness, that togetherness. Yeah, that team is rallying.
Wilkes Webb is checking out the show. Wilkes says, how about them Blue Devils giving Lee County all they can handle? Yeah, we got a lot of people commenting on that. From what I understand, Tiff County had a huge crowd over there at Lee County tonight, which is it's good to hear. That's good to hear. Toby Passmore says Valdosta looks fast. Well, they always seem to have that speed, don't they, Mark?
They do. They've got some athletes over there. Uh, Again, I'm looking forward to seeing them playing somebody a little more competitive.
Bryce Hancock. How about them Tiff County Blue Devils tonight in Lee County? Blue Devils showed out the refs. The refs definitely helped out, helped the win for Lee. But all right, now Tiff County fans, come on now, just let's take the win and be or take the loss, take the competitive game and be happy about it, right?
You can't win, so they didn't get those calls. I mean, I got to tell you, I'll be honest. If Coach Fabrizio got the calls too,
So Tiff County and Lee was the WLB game of the week. That might have been where I got Aaron was at tonight.
Tiff County's back in the limelight.
Well, a lot of people that are checking out the show talking about that game. Oh, we got a few minutes, about 9 minutes left to go in the show. Gary Franklin, how about them Ware County Gators? Yeah, they look good. Of course, Ware County's always good. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't remember the last time. Yeah, I don't remember the last time Ware County had a bad season, Mark.
Yeah, no, you're talking about. I don't think Coach Strickland's done a great job there. I mean, they're consistent every year. I mean, they're always in the hunt. So,
Well, the
Phil, you
next
watching
Williams.
football
Yeah.
tomorrow? I mean, you watch all the college games tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll. Is Georgia game on TV?
I think it's on ESPN2. They're playing Marshall, and I saw something posted somewhere that Georgia was on upset alert. I'm like, do what? Georgia's
No,
on
no,
upset alert.
no.
I
Yeah,
believe that
no.
was one of those road posts just to try to get you to click on it.
I got you. CJ Lanes is checking in. Cook Hornets checking in tonight, says CJ Lane. How about them Hornets 3-0? Yeah, we talked about that. Cook, off to their best start since 2012, CJ. Appreciate you checking in. Deshaun Suggs, my buddy Deshaun. Deshaun, where you been? How about my Carver Columbus Tigers versus Harris County tonight, 63-0? Deshaun
Hey,
is our buddy. Deshaun helped us with that big the thing that we did with Carver. Mark, he's a big Carver fan.
oh yeah, we went over and did that video with them. Listen, again, they got some get back. They still had a bad taste in their mouth from last year. I
That's
tell you
right.
what, Carver Columbus will cruise to the state championship. I mean, look, it's rare that I see something like that, but I mean, I've looked at those kids and they just are loaded. They have so much talent. I mean, they got some 4 and 5 star players and a whole lot of
Agree.
upgrades for a school that size.
Agree 100%, Mark. Back in the before the season started, Mark. I called this is the year of the repeat because I think Carver's going to repeat. I still think Milton might repeat. It could be tough, but we'll see. I think Grayson still has a great chance to repeat. I think Bowden has a great chance to repeat. So we're going to see. But I think you got a couple of teams, especially like Carver, man. I don't see anybody beating Carver. I'm like you, Mark. And I'm going to tell you, Mark, Carver is one of those teams. What are they? 3A
I
or
believe they're
2A?
2A.
That's right.
Yeah, 2A.
My point.
So
Yeah, my point.
they were in
Yeah, my point being. Yeah,
Appling
that's right.
County region. And so I'd love to see Carver. You talk about some non-region matchups. I'd like to see them play, some higher classification teams if they would play Carver. I'd love to see Carver play a Grayson,
Yes.
play a
Yes.
Thomas County Central, play a higher classification team because I know they can play with them, no question.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, Mark. I was going to say the same thing. I think Carver is one of those teams, even if they are a 2A team, I think they can play with anybody. And that's a rarity being a smaller classification team.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, look, the starting 11 for Carver can play with anybody. The depth is, what would come into play. I mean, look, Lee County's not that far from Columbus, only an hour drive. I mean, I'm gonna put it out there. Hey, next year, Lee County Carver,
Why not?
be a great game.
They played in the preseason scrimmage.
Like,
And Lee County played pretty well. By the way, Deshaun Suggs, in addition to mentioning about the Harris County blowout, says also War Darn Eagle. I'm keeping it family friendly here.
oh, he's a War Eagle guy. Glad to see Auburn get the win. I'm
Yeah,
sticking with
absolutely.
SEC there. Definitely rooting for Auburn. Glad to see them win.
Yeah. Carver 2A. Thank y'all for clearing that up. Appreciate that. Well, we got about 4 minutes left to go in the show. We've had another successful Friday night show. Let us know what you guys think about our Friday night scoreboard show. Again, we're about 3 weeks in. Still trying to, find our footing, but we think it's going pretty well. But listen, it takes the support from you guys. Appreciate you guys coming and checking us out after you guys get home from your favorite game or whether you're watching a game. Be sure to join us every Friday night. We're going to be here, Mark and I, 10 to midnight with our Friday night special show.
So, Phil, in the big game tomorrow, who you got? Texas, Ohio State.
Man.
I believe that game's at Ohio State.
I was going to say, well, that just kind of solidifies it for me. It's hard to pick against Ohio State. I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Ohio State. How about that?
What about you? What you got?
Man, I hate Ohio State. I'm going to have to
I do too.
Texas on that deal. I think Texas got a lot of players. I want to see Texas win. So when Georgia beats Texas, that's just going to make that win even bigger. That's kind of
I'm with you. Listen, I will not argue that. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, Ohio State's loaded, no question. Both those teams are loaded.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Georgia's, even though they're ranked number 5, they're most of the quote pundits don't really have Georgia in the conversation to win a national championship. Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State.
Yeah. When Simo Villalobos getting ready to close us out here, enjoy the Friday night show. Love hearing all the games and for being engaged with comments. Can't wait for more Extra Point on Monday. Good night, everyone, says one Simo.
All right. Phil, Extra Point, you going to stick with Monday or you going to go to Tuesday?
Oh, I keep forgetting about it being on Labor Day.
Have a Labor Day Extra Point, Phil.
Yeah, I may do it. I'm not going anywhere. I ain't got nothing to do. Hey, everybody stay tuned. Be sure to check back on ITG next. We're thinking about moving it to Tuesday night, but just stay tuned, and I'll let you guys know what we're going to do for that.
All right, so Phil, you got Ohio State. Deshaun Suggs has got Ohio State too. So
I saw that. Yeah, Stephen K. Williams does too.
Yeah, I'm gonna root for Texas on that deal. Again, just because when Georgia beat Texas, then maybe people will talk about Georgia for the national championship.
What time does that come on?
Noon. It's early.
Really?
Game. Yeah, noon. They kick it off at noon. And
How about that?
Florida State and Alabama play at 3:30. I believe Georgia plays at 3:30, and then Clemson and LSU, I believe, play tomorrow night.
Okay. Well, Mark, we have come to the end of another Friday night special extra point scoreboard show. I think it was again a great show, great success. I want to thank everybody for checking out the show.
For sure. And I know it's getting a little bit later, but hey, if you went to your game tonight, you're probably just getting home or been home for a minute, settling in, and either just enjoying the win or contemplating the loss or contemplating the refs, maybe not giving you that call that you needed to get through. So hey, I get it. I do the same thing. There's been many a times I'm leaving a game thinking, wow, I wonder how that happened.
Hey,
So
great to give folks an outlet, Mark. That's what it's one of the things that we're able to do, right?
for sure, for sure. So well, Phil, until next Friday, or either should I say Monday or Tuesday, I'll try to sit in depending on what day it is. So look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Absolutely, guys. Hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. Again, do check back. Stay tuned here on ITG Next. We'll give you up to date on exactly when we're going to do extra point, either Monday night, Labor Day night, or Tuesday. Either way, we'll see you next.